Temptation Tuesday. Top 10 things that tempted me in April. I don't know if it's a tag, but it ought to be. Hello, my name is Mary, and this is my no-buy year. I was putting the finishing touches on my project pan video where I was weighing my ambivalence and the attraction to doing a project pan in my 2019 no-buy year, when I made the mistake of scrolling through my YouTube feed where I saw, buried in the hundreds of videos that seem to launch on Tuesdays, an interesting video posted by one of my YouTube pals, Tarable Decisions. I don't know the etiquette on YouTube, whether I should reach out to Tara and talk to her about turning this gem of an idea into a tag, but I'm just gonna jump on. There are multiple things I've been tempted by in the first 3.5 months of my no-buy year, and I thought this would be a good way to step back and dip more into that reflective mode that, again, the sort of New England magistrate in my heart tends to suppress more often than not, and really think about some of the things that have been tempting me. And a top 10 list is right up my alley. I cut my teeth as a youth on Dave Letterman and his top 10 list, so this feels very natural to me. So I would love to share with you the top 10 things that tempted me in the first few months of 2019 during my no-buy. And I will go in reverse order. I have my list. I have my Peet's coffee with almond milk. It is mid-afternoon on Tuesday of my spring break. I need to wait for the light to change before I think about going out landscape painting. Middle of the day is just not the time for landscaping. The shadows are too harsh. The dog has been fed and walked and exercised and played with, and I thought this would be a charming way to fill an hour in the middle of the afternoon. Number 10 on my list is the Nars Skin Deep Eye Palette, which I will link a video up in the cards where I did dupe the vibe of that palette based on a few beautiful eye looks that Abby Bliss White put together over on her channel, which I will link below. Now, this is the irrational side of my brain. I can put together a fairly consistent look using 3 or 4 face and eye palettes that I already have in my collection. So it's completely irrational for me to want to purchase that palette. However, it was a temptation. I went in store to my local Ulta and swatched it, and like a clandestine spy, brought those swatches home on my arm and spent some time coming up with a dupe for color, undertone, and texture for that palette. I feel that I was certainly able to dupe that look, but that palette, that blend of finish and earth tones, earthy neutrals is right up my alley. And if I were not on a no-buy year, I certainly would have purchased it. That palette retails for $59. I will total up at the end of this video the cost saved for all of these items, because I'm fairly certain that I would have purchased all of these items in 2019. My number 9 most coveted item is actually a collection, a collaboration between artist Connor Tingley and Nars, and I will link a few of the products. And I have to be quite honest with you, with the lip products, none of the color stories are behind this attraction, but the packaging I find irresistible. I love the idea of artist collaborations, and this is not my personal flavor of artistry. I was trained more as a, more in the classical style, but I absolutely adore this whole line, the whole collaboration. I think it's brilliant, it's beautiful, and I will link to an interesting article on that collaboration down in the description bar if you're interested in it. Hard to put a monetary value on this. On the Nars site currently is listed the eyeshadow palette, which is 6 shimmery shades. I certainly would have bought that. That retails for $49. At a bare minimum, I will add that to my list. Next on my list is a Chanel blush that I've been coveting for some time. It is in the color Golden Sun. Some of my favorite YouTubers have praised this color for years, and I love the looks that they've been able to pull off with that product. That product retails for $45, and I certainly would have bought it. Next on my list is the Tom Ford Soleil Glow Up Cushion Foundation. I believe my color would have been buff. There's a very limited shade range in this foundation, but many of my go-to YouTube content creators who also coincidentally have my same coloring have done multiple reviews and endorsed this product fairly heavily. So this I absolutely would have fallen for. It retails for $87. Next on my list, number 6, is I have to say I probably by now would have caved and purchased the Jo Malone Wood Sage and Sea Salt full-size cologne. I have the smaller size. I am just about halfway done, but I know from my past use, with the shift in the weather, it is my go-to scent, and I certainly would have purchased the full size by now. It retails for $135. Number 4 on my list is an essence. It's the SK2 Pitera Essence. And the temptation with this product derives from the fact that I blew through 2 deluxe sample size of the product. They will be in my April empties, and I did enjoy the product. It seems to be a very watery product, but I feel I saw benefits in terms of the overall radiance and glow of my skin. Now, it is difficult to tease out what product is definitively responsible for the positive turn in my skin condition over the past few months. Primarily, I attribute it to the Biologique Recherche Lotion P50 Formula V. I know that toner brightens my skin. I know it has an immediate impact on the glowiness, on that lit from within quality to my skin. It was part of multiple gift with purchase scenarios and gift card sales at some of the high-end department stores over the past several months. And I most certainly would have caved in and purchased it with the thought that I was sort of getting not just the sale price, not just the gift card on top of purchase, but also because of the gift with purchase, it was essentially getting 2 for 1. And after all that, we have my EBATES cashback, and some of the EBATE rewards have been up in the 10% rebate range. So all of those things would have conspired to inspire that purchase, I'm certain of it. Number 4 on my list is the Tom Ford lipstick in Wild Ginger. Now, for this temptation, I blame Hannah Louise Poston, but it's not just her. There are several YouTubers. Sandra, whose content I adore, has a beautiful video on bold lips, and very recently Hannah Louise Poston, I will link both of these videos below, when she shopped her stash for bold lipsticks, and my lipsticks are, while I have a lot of them, they tend to be all in the same shade range. They tend to be neutrals. They tend to be roses. They tend to be mauves. So that's my general jam for lip products. However, there is nothing like a bold lip when it matches your flesh tone with a neutral eye. And that is one that I was certainly, it's my spring break, I probably would have driven up to Nordstrom at Southport, up there outside Durham, and swatched to see if it's my perfect bold, warm red lip. However, I will not do so. And position 1 and 2 could probably flip-flop. I'm giving position 1 top position because it's absolutely absurd that I still want it, and I'll describe that in just a moment. Position number 2 belongs securely with the Natasha Denona Biba palette. Now, I do not own a Natasha Denona palette, but I've been mightily tempted in the past. Again, some of my favorite YouTubers are big fans, and I have been influenced to purchase through the siren song of their reviews. This one is right up my alley. It has a good range of the formulas that Natasha Denona is known for. It is neutral. It has a fairly decent blend of warm and cool. However, looking at the palette, I can dupe that palette with what I already have. And in 2020, if I'm weighing the possibility of acquiring one of Natasha Denona's palettes, frankly, I think I would lean more towards the gold palette or something with that real editorial look, something that would fill a niche in my collection that I do not currently have 20 eye palettes that can do the same thing. Number 1 position is I'm sure you've guessed by now, the La Mer Soft Fluid Longwear Foundation in the color 12. It's absurd. I will link to a throwdown where I compare it to the Estee Lauder Double Wear and conclude, perhaps not definitively enough, that the Estee Lauder Double Wear is my go-to foundation. They are owned by the same parent company. Estee Lauder owns both companies. The products differ only in one ingredient in the top 5 ingredients. And yet I still want it. So here's where my analytical process will break down, because it is not reasonable that I still want that product. The price is not reasonable. It retails for $120 an ounce. There is no reason on this earth that I should still desire this product, other than this is how desire works. This is how wanting things works. Want is illogical, want is emotional, want is a scent, want is Pandora's box. Once you open that box, once you identify something that has a product or a thing or a person that has wormed its way into your consciousness, it's very difficult to sever that limb. And the only thing I can say at this point is I read a short story by Borges, an Argentinian writer, a magical realist, called The Garden of Forking Paths. And I read this short story, maybe 10 years ago. And the impact of that story was cataclysmic. The impact of that story on my understanding of my wants and my desires was utterly mind-bending. I won't discuss the plot with you because plot is not at all what this story transforms you through. The vehicle, the characterization, the plot is surface. The mind shift happens through the process of reading, and I could not take that process away from any of you, nor can I really influence any of you to seek out that short story. But if you're interested in shifting your mindset and shifting your relationship with things or people or ideas that you want, there has been no single more influential experience in my life than reading that short story. In summary, I would have spent a total of $779 just with the items I enumerated in this video. If I were shopping, if I were not on a no-buy, however, I likely would have purchased additional items. And that is my true inspiration for rather recklessly jumping on the idea of doing a no-buy year. I would have purchased 3 eyeshadow palettes, at least, 2 luxury foundations, 1 cologne, 1 bold lipstick, 1 neutral-ish, 1 bronzy blush, and 1 skincare product at the bare minimum, totaling $779. We are that much closer to buying a second home, so I feel pretty good about that. Thank you, Tara, for the inspiring idea. I hope you don't mind that I hitched to your wagon. I thought it was fun. It's something I would enjoy both small and large channels picking up on. So if you do join the tag, please do credit Tarable Decisions with the original idea. Thank you so much for joining me. Ciao.